Hello to all my sisters in Christ. Guess what you're going to learn today? A very interesting link to why things that are being passed in the education world, considering colleges and universities, so to speak, why you keep hearing weird things going on in the news. Well, check this out. IgnatianSpirituality.com. Right here. And look at this. A Jesuit ministry from the Loyola Press. Ignatius de Loyola is the founder of the Jesuits, Society of Jesus, or otherwise known as the Illuminati, in different forms. And this is one of their fronts. So we scroll down here on their own webpage. This is their homepage. And under Ignatian Community, we see Jesuit organizations. Wonder what could be there. Well, let's see. They have all these different tentacles here. Retreats, prayer, as you can see. We're going to concern ourselves with education and publishing today. Hey, look at that. All these different tentacles. Let's look at Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities. Now remember, ladies, this is not just applicable to Jesuit-specific colleges and universities. This is applicable to all colleges and universities. Public, private, you name it. Jesuit or not. So here we have federal relations, conferences, and all these different topics here. But if we scroll down here to the bottom, we see under Jesuit College Resources, click on Jesuit Resources. Wonder what we'll find here. All these centers, programs, and publications are Jesuit related. They act like it's just catered to the Jesuit institutions, but it's really not. How about this? Alpha Sigma Nu. Have you ever heard of honor societies that you may know people in that think that it's for highly talented academic scholars? That's just one of the more common names of honor societies that they run and that they control. If we go down here to actually I went past it. If we go up here to the Office of Federal Student Aid and Student Aid Alliance, think about that for a second. How many times have you heard federal student aid? Student aid to pay for college and university. You know, you hear that all throughout your schooling years. Before you get to college, and as you're initiated into the university experience, you hear that from the Office of Student Financial Aid. You hear it in promotional advertisements for scholarship opportunities of places your children might be applying to or thinking of applying to. But let's check out the fact that the Office of Federal Student Aid and Office for the U.S. Department of Education provides all these online tools to help families prepare and pay for college or career school. And ironically, another one is Student Aid Alliance. But if you click on this one, isn't it ironic how they have nothing on their website? If you pick through this, they have nothing on here about a link headed back to the AJCU website. Isn't that kind of strange? You think they might have some connection they don't want you to know about unless you dig for it? Well, let's look further. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, Federal Relations picture, click on that, and you have this little blurb right here that says buzzwords like the lobbying arm of the AJCU, and kept up to date on an ongoing basis by the VP for Federal Relations on all issues relating to, you guessed it, appropriations, budget, higher education authorization issues, and taxes. The dreaded word once a year, taxes. Well, you think that's bad? Let's check out these other little subtopics. Affiliations. Works with a number of coalitions nationwide to continue to build the best support for federal student aid. How about these different links here? You can check them out for yourselves. Student aid, education funding, education investment. Sounds like financial planning, estate planning words for families, don't you think? You know, investment, invest in your child's future, as they call it. You know, prepare for the future, start early with Coverdell savings accounts in different states and different manners. How about appropriations and budget? You wonder why all these different things are going on in Congress for college and university programs, majors being revamped all the time. Let's look at these buzzwords. AJCU works on the budget every year with the administration. White House administration? House and Senate budget committees? Oh boy. How about this? Federal student aid programs such as Pell Grants. You're probably very familiar with most of these, if not all of them, if you know anything about the college and university agenda. Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant Program, SEOG, Federal Work Study, Perkins Loan Program, TRIO and Gear Up, relatively recent. Don't have too much knowledge of that yet. Graduate education, you know, get an advanced degree, you know. Postgraduate education programs, student loans of all sort, Parent Plus loans. Help your child and you finance and educate and fund your child's education. Or graduate loans. All these different types of loans they have their hands in. Teacher education in Title II, international education. Have you ever heard the word outcome-based education? You look at your typical syllabus from any school, you know, in a class that if your child is already in college or university, they have what's called a syllabus. Part of international education is outcome-based education, and that's listed in the top part of the syllabus. Check it out. How about this? 1965, the HEA, Higher Education Act, was signed into law by President L.B. Johnson. Isn't it ironic the same president who signed this into law signed into law the 501c3 creature of the state scam for Babel buildings? Same year. And it's to create rules and regulations for institutions to follow in order to receive federal student aid funding from the federal government. Interesting. How about this? Jesuit alumni in the U.S. Congress. Watch. You won't believe this. Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities. Jesuit alumni in the 113th U.S. Congress. Ever wonder who's serving on your state congressional committees and what committees they serve? Well, you can look that up and confirm their bios on the House and Senate websites, but check this out. Republican from Wyoming, Senator Barrasso. Republican. Democrat from Pennsylvania, Senator Casey Jr. Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. On down the line. Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter what political party you think you're voting for and what political party you're alliance to. It doesn't matter. Both sides serve the same Hegelian dialectic agenda of thesis, antithesis, and ultimately synthesis. The thesis is Judeo-Christian education. The antithesis is atheism, communism education where God is taken out of the picture. And the synthesis is a classless, dumbed-down, enslaved populace that doesn't know what they're part of when they send their children to colleges and universities and send their children outside the home for education, supposedly. You can download these documents from their own website right here. Here, and here. Check it out for yourself. I'm not joking. And look at regulations. Regulations and compliance. Another buzzword for it's for your safety. We're just making sure that your children are safe and they're getting a good education. And during this safety surveillance program that they have through education, or what they call education. Look at this, Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. And they wanted to establish a religious exemption to this Obamacare law. Are you still interested in keeping your voter registration? I hope not. And last but not least, let's look at these tax provisions. Every single time you file taxes, whether married or single, and you take one of these tax credits or deductions, you are literally supporting and exacerbating the Jesuit-controlled, Jesuit-created schooling agenda. All in the name of, we are trying to educate your children, to prepare them for the future, the global workforce. Have you heard these buzzwords? Look at this. All these different credits, deductions, assistance, reductions, all designed to reduce your taxable income. Because remember, something to think about the next time you are trying to file your taxes. They offer you state incentives to get your money, and then when you don't agree with something, they just simply change the words. And that's essentially what they've done through the congressional members, all these different tax incentives to get you to promote and support their programs. And you wonder, where did all these tax credits come from? Right here. The Jesuits are the military arm of the Vatican, your Roman Catholic system. And you really need to wake up to the fact that the university and college institution is a scam. And if you have children, or you know of children in this scam, you need to get them out as soon as possible for your own good. And if you're still not convinced about this, let me just show you an interesting video from the Jesuits' own words. Watch this. How do Jesuits deal with debt? From the Jesuit Post. This is literally one of their online YouTube channels.
Now, seriously though, there are tons of reasons why people have personal and educational debt. We get that.
Personal debt's going to include things like credit card debt, car payments, and mortgages. And we generally want you to sort that type of stuff out before you enter. Hey Mom, hey Dad, I was thinking, if I become a Jesuit, do you think you'd be willing to pay off my credit card debt?
Educational debt is a whole different story because it's a necessary part of getting your degree.
Especially if you went to a Jesuit college. Good Lord. Also, sorry about that.
But you can get your payments deferred while in the novitiate. Otherwise, we'll take over the monthly payments. When you pronounce first vows, the Jesuits will take it from there.
Because you just took a vow of poverty, you ain't making any payments. Trust me, your allowance in the 8th grade was bigger.
But if you happen to leave the novitiate, the unpaid debt is all back on you. So you gotta ask yourself,
what kind of debt do I have?
how and why did I end up with debt in the first place?
Am I paying as much as I can on that debt?
How long have I been working to pay off this debt?
These questions are basically about your time and your freedom, because you're going to need a whole lot of both to make a good, honest discernment about joining the Jesuits.
Look, I know.
Interesting. Notice the doublespeak there? Sophistry from the Jesuits? This is their propaganda of that you'll hear in different forms, whether you hear from the federal government in civilian co-op or internment, literally internment in some ways, internship programs where they say, do you have debt to pay off? We'll help you pay it off. Just come work for us for X number of years, and then we'll pay off your debt. And you don't have to worry about the payments anymore. They also have what's called federal student loan debt consolidation programs. Well, that all ties into this, to the Jesuit order, because like they said, time and freedom. The bottom line of the government and businesses nowadays is time is money, money is time. You know, freedom. They make you think that your child and or children are free when they go to these universities, you know, intellectual, rigorous thinking, free thinking. But I hate to burst their bubble, but I've been there. Like I said before, 10 years in their scam, and they do not allow free, independent thinking. It's their way or the highway. And notice how they say that if you join us, this is how they get you. How are we going to pay off our student loan debt? Well, let me give you a start. If you have debt to pay off, live as cheaply as possible, as frugally and simply as you can, and do not support or rely or ask the government for help. Because that is exactly how they sucker you into their program by saying, well, if you have debt to pay off of any sort, like we just described, if you follow and join our order of Jesuits and serve us, we'll pay off your debt. But if you happen to leave her order, oh boy, you're going to have to pay off your debt yourself, and it's going to fall back on you. It's a double-edged sword with these Satanists from the Vatican. Do not fall for this propaganda of, under any guise, government, civilian, you name it. If you hear this propaganda of, if you join us, we'll pay for your debt. We'll pay off your debt, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Do not fall for it. You will literally fall into Satan's hands.